So today I'll look at a classic game out there. This is Shogun from 1986 from Milton Bradley's Game Master series. The game is also sold under the name Samurai Swords. 2 to 5 players, ages 12 to adult. A game of high adventure. The time 16th century. The place Feudal Japan at war. The challenge, command an army of samurai warriors, battle for provincial control, and become shogun. It's a big box. It's 12 by 20 by 4¼ inches. Excellent artwork. I love the mix of artwork here. Definitely gives you a sense of bringing you back into that time. In the back of the box here, Shogun relived the glorious age of the samurai warrior. Eliminate your enemies and become shogun of Japan in this game of strategy, secrecy, and diplomacy. The time is the mid-16th century, the age of war in Japan. In a violent struggle for land and power, 5 formidable warlords prepare for the climactic clash of arms. Their weapons, secret strategy, sneak attacks, and a mastery of deadly samurai warfare. Their goal, to crush the enemy and earn the exalted title of Shogun. In the end, only one of them will succeed. Shogun challenges you and your opponents to wage war in the tradition of the valiant samurai warrior. As one of the 5 warlords, your victory will depend on how expertly you extend and defend your domain, guard your leaders, decide where and when to strike, collect income, protect your growing empire. A lot of awesome components. Here's all the components. It's very impressive. You have a large game board, deck of 72 cards, 406 plastic playing pieces, 30 plastic Goku chips, 5 army cards, 5 reference screens, 6 styrofoam game trays. Got 5 plastic samurai swords and 5 styrofoam samurai sword stands, 12 battle markers, 6 12-sided dice, 32-page rulebook, and then there's some labels you put on some of the figures. Very impressive array of components. First of all, this 32-page rulebook. Here's the miniatures. There's 5 sets of colors, and of each of the color set there's 72. I found there's a little bit of variation in the number of each. It seems to be a little bit more than that in most cases. For each, you have these flag markers out here are army markers. These are what you move around on the board. The individual units themselves are put on the army cards, which I'll show. And this also, these with the pegs on the bottom, those are put on the army cards with the corresponding ones to show their levels. And there's 3 daimos for each player, and each of their armies are indicated by different symbols and their colors there. You have 3 daimos for each, and a daimo leads an army. It's a powerful provincial warlord. Each daimo fights with its army, has a combat value of 6, meaning that on a die roll of 6 or lower, it eliminates an enemy unit from play. They can either be lost in battle or assassinated by ninja. After you've lost all 3 of your daimos, you're out of the game, so you want to protect those. There's 1 ninja, and this is the ninja. Entire ninja, for 1 round of play, you must outbid your opponents. You can either use it to attempt to assassinate an opponent's daimo, or to spy on an opponent's plans at the beginning of the next round. And if he fails, then your opponent gets a chance at revenge. So in the individual colors, then you have 3 daimos, and then you have several samurai bowmen. They do ranged weapons, have combat values of 6. Shiguro gunners, they're ranged weapons as well. They have a combat value of 4. Samurai swordsmen, they do melee combat, have a combat value of 5. Eshiguro spearmen, they do melee combat, they have combat values of 4. So that's what's in the individual colors, and here's the 4 other colors. Then you have ronin, which are masterless samurai, mercenaries. They have a combat value of 5. Then you have these red coins, which are koku. They represent the amount of rice necessary to feed 1 man for a year. 1 ship represents thousands of koku, so you use that for collecting and expending resources. Here's these battle markers, which are used to indicate where attacks are going to happen. These miniatures indicate castles. They provide defense for a province. Then to make it a fortress, you can add it onto a fortified base here. And that converts a castle into a fortress, which provides even more defense for a province. A lot of great miniatures. There's There's 10 castles, and then there's 5 fortification bases, 30 of the koku plastic chips, 12 battle markers, 26 Ronin, and as I said, 72 each, approximately, of the different colored army units. And there's these awesome samurai swords on their styrofoam sword holder. And there's 5 of these swords with their corresponding sword holder. There's 6 12-sided dice. And there's these very nice styrofoam trays where you can do your operations in secret here. There's 5 of these player trays, and you can allocate your koku down here for take swords, build, love units, higher Ronin or higher ninja. You secretly allocate your koku coins for those, and you can put your units in here. In reference, it's got references here for the planning guide, action sequence, and combat sequence. Very nice. And of course you set your reference card in there in the tray. This is the master tray. You put castles and fortification bases here, Ronin here, dice, battle markers, ninja goes here, and the koku go here. And there's only one of these master trays. And on the reference card that goes into the stand here, you got the planning guide where you have your units and units you can purchase per koku. Combat value, action sequence, which is plan, take swords, build, levy units, higher Ronin, higher ninja, wage war. First part of that is move Daimo's armies, then declare first battles, conduct combat, then final movement. Then you remove Ronin, and then lastly you collect koku. In the combat sequence, players roll dice simultaneously, and the die roll or less you need to hit. Again, on a 12-sided dice. So bowmen roll 6 or less to hit, gunners roll 4 or less. Then you remove casualties, dime rolls roll 6 or less, swordsmen and Ronin roll 5 or less, spearmen roll 4 or less, then remove casualties. Then repeat that sequence unless attacker calls off the battle. So you're basically up here, you're doing the ranged combat first with the bowmen and the gunners, and then you take out casualties, and then you do the melee combat, which is daimos, swordsmen, and Ronin spearmen, and then you remove casualties. So. And there's 5 of these reference cards, 1 for each color. There's 5 of these army cards, 1 for each color. Here's an example army card. There's 3 daimos. The 3 daimos go here, each one with their own army. So this is where on the D locations where the daimo, there's a daimo, there's one. And then there's these army markers. This one with the peg on the bottom goes on this track here, and this is to indicate the level of the army. And then this corresponding marker is the one that will go on the map board. This is the only army indicator that goes in the map board. All the rest of the elements of the army are on the army card here corresponding to that indicator. And the samurai units, which include bowmen and swordsmen, go up here, and then the ashiguro units, which are peasant units, gunners, and then spearmen, will go on the A's here. So the samurais go on the S's up here, and the ashiguro go on the A's here. And when you purchase Ronin, they're samurai as well, so they'd go up on an S. And the ashiguro spearmen would also go on the A's. And there's 68 province cards, and they each indicate one of the provinces on the board, which is the location is indicated on red on the card and the name of it. It's a pretty big map. It's 19.5 by 33 inches. Big fan of the color scheme on it too. Kind of gives a kind of old world feel to it. I like the different art around there as well. It's a modified map of Feudal Japan. Shows 3 of Japan's large islands: Honshu, Shikoku, and Kyushu. It's divided into provinces divided by these thin black borders. Each province is considered a game space. And then there's smaller islands of Hawaii, Aki, Tsushima here, and then Oki and Sato. And the 2 islands of Tsushima are considered one game space. Attacks and military movement can only be made to and from adjacent provinces, and where they're separated by a province line, they're adjacent. But if they meet at a point, for instance, where it's Kazoki and Shimosa, they meet at a point. So those two aren't considered adjacent since it's at a point. And sea lines also indicate provinces that are adjacent to each other. So for instance, Sanuki and Bison would be adjacent from this sea line. So that's components. They're all great. Looking forward to trying out here. We'll get to set up and play. Here's the initial setup. I'll be doing a 3-player game with orange, green, and purple. There are trays with the reference cards inserted there for each. And then you have the corresponding army cards and the swords on their stands. Each of the players on their army card has their 3 daimos, and each daimo has an army. In each of the armies you can match the shapes on the bases to the armies. You have the circle with the level marker with the daimo. In the master tray you have castles and the fortification bases, Ronin, the 6 12-sided dice, Koku, the battle markers, and also the ninja. And you have their samurai swords on their bases. On each of the army cards they have 3 armies, and you have your daimo, a samurai bowman, samurai swordsman, and 2 Ashiguro gunners. And this is the maximum number of units you can have in each army, which is 1 daimo, 4 samurai, and 10 Ashiguro. And the movements of the army on the board will be the corresponding symbol from the army symbol. Then you take the full deck of 68 province cards and you deal them all out to all the players. In a 3 or 5 player game you'll have extra ones, since it doesn't come out even, and you put the extra ones in the red, and those will be unknown initially and they'll have to conquer them. Dealing with the province cards. Finish dealing them out. Each player has 22 province cards. Then there's 2 extra, and those go here, and these are unknown, Tamba and Tango, and they'll have to fight over those to see who gets those. You distribute Koku. You take each player takes the number of provinces they have, divide by 3, and then get rid of the remainders. That's how many Koku you start with. Since they each start with 22 provinces, that divided by 3 is 7 with the remainders, so each get 7 Koku to start. And then to figure out the order, you draw swords, and each sword has a number of diamonds on its blade. So you'll hide the blades, and you'll just take turns drawing your swords from the hilt. So orange will draw. His blade has 3 diamonds. Green gets 1 diamond, and purple gets 2. The order of placing initial reinforcements is determined by who draws what diamonds. The lower the diamond means the order that they go. So in this case, green drew 1 diamond, purple drew 2 on their sword, and orange drew 3. So green will go first on placing their initial reinforcements. Before you place your initial reinforcements, you put 1 Ashiguro spearman in each of the provinces you have. Since they each have 22, they each put them there. For instance, orange puts in Hawaii, they put a unit, and then all the others do the same. Interestingly, the 2 unclaimed ones are right next to each other, Tango and Tamba. And then in their order, they do their initial reinforcements, and each gets 12 Ashiguro spearmen for reinforcements, and you place 2 at a time in a province. And you can't have more than 3 Ashiguro spearmen initially in a province. Green will go first. Kind of interesting how it's dispersed here. I'll figure out where he wants to focus. He thinks it might be a lost cause here, so he's going to reinforce here. I guess seems like an important area. He'll put 2 spearmen there. And you take turns. Purple places a couple reinforcements. Seems like an important area here. He'll reinforce this territory. He'll reinforce this province. Couple. And orange. It's liking that he has some on this island here, so he'll focus there a little bit. Could have Put a couple in this province. Initially, these remind me a little bit of Risk, a little bit how you set up here. And then they'll continue doing the reinforcements in that order until they go through all 12 of their reinforcements and 2 in each province they're placing. Then completed the placement of the reinforcements. So Orange is going to focus on these couple islands here, looks like. Their reinforcements. Green is mainly focusing in this area. And purple's kind of spread out. You take turn, place your army markers in the order sequence. Again, the army markers correspond to the armies shown here under the same flag. Green, it's a pretty important area here. You'll do there. Purple, make a stand over here. Orange, put one on the island here. Green, it's not going to give up this island, you'll put one there. Purple, put one here. Orange, on this island. Green, some forces here. Purple, get over here as well. Over here to get some more foothold in that continent. And then finally orange. They're not going to totally give up on the mainland here. Put some units right here. Then you collect the swords for later use, and that completes setup. Then we'll get into the first turn. We'll go through one turn here, show how it plays. The action sequence done is plan, take swords, build, levy units, hire Ronin, hire ninja, wage war. There's 4 steps there. Remove Ronin, collect Koku. All of these, except for wage war, are done simultaneously by the players. And the wage war is done in the sequence of the order of diamonds that the players have on swords. First of all, in plan, this is where you put your Koku in your bins to accomplish the various things during your play, and they each have 7 Koku because of the number of provinces they have, and they'll plan in secret. For the planning, then, they each allocate their Koku. Orange puts 2 in build. It costs 2 Koku to build a castle and then 2 more to build a fortification for that, which would be a total of 4 for a fortress, but he's just going to build a castle for now for 2. Levy units, he's got 3 Koku there. This is the cost here. Of course, you can't buy daimos. And then he also allocates for hire ninja. He's going to bid 2 Koku to get the ninja. Then green, he didn't bid anything for take swords. He's just going to randomly take the sword he gets. But if you win the bid and take swords, you get to go first when it comes to wage war. Like I said, all the other things are simultaneously, but wage war, which is movement, battles, Canuck combat, final movement, that's all done based on the order of who's got the fewest diamonds on the sword they have. So he's going to bid on the sword. He's going to build 2. He's going to spend 2 Koku for a castle. Levy units, he's going to spend 1. And then he's going to hire a Ronin. And then purple, he'll bid 1 and take swords. He'll build a castle with 2 Koku. He has 3 levy units. He won't hire any Ronin, but he'll bid 1 to hire a ninja. And now we do the take sword step. And then the players are all doing this in secret, but then they reveal what they bid for take swords. And green will reveal that he bid 2 Koku. And purple will bid their 1. Because that green gets to take the first sword of their choice. And green won the bid, so they'll take the sword with 1 diamond, which means they get to go first in the war part. They'll sheath that. Purple goes second. Of course, I'll take the 2 diamonds so I can go second. And then orange will randomly draw, but theirs will be a larger number than the 1 or 2. They get a 3. Just the order they'll go in during the war phase. Then the players take the Koku they bid on the swords and they return to the master tray. Next build, and they'll each spend their Koku to build 1 castle, and they'll take that money and put it in the master tray. And then they'll build their castles on the board. And the advantage of building castles or fortifications in your provinces is if you build a castle and that province is attacked, you add 4 Ashikiro spearmen to the defense. And if you have a a fortress, which is a castle and a fortification together, you add 5 Ronin to the defense instead of the 4 Ashikiro spearmen. So that's the benefit of them. They don't place the castles on the board. And simultaneous, and players can have discussions with each other about coordinating things or not, but I'll put them on here. Put my castles, put one up here for green, over here for purple, and on the island here for orange. For levying units or hiring Ronin, this is the units you get per koku. For instance, you get 1 bowman, you get 2 swordsmen per koku, 2 Ronin per koku, 2 gunners per koku, or 3 spearmen per koku. And orange is setting aside 3 for levying units. Green is setting aside 1 for levying units. And purple will set aside 3 for levying units, which levying is buying units. Orange will get 3 bowmen. And you're limited, you can only add 1 levied unit per province when you put it on the board. And he'll put his 3 koku back in the master area here. For green, they have 1. They'll be getting 2 swordsmen for their 1 koku. Purple has 3, and they'll get 2 bowmen and 2 swordsmen. And then he'll put his money back in the master bin here too. Then in the step after that, nobody else is hiring Ronin except for green. So green he's got 2 for hiring Ronin. And you get 2 Ronin per koku, so he gets 4 Ronin. Then we'll place all these on the board. The placement of levied units is all simultaneous, although players can talk to each other about if they want to support each other and alliances or not. And when you place your units, you can either add 1 per province, or you can add them on to your army board. He'll add 1. He'll put in a bowman on one of them on his army board. Then he'll put a couple provinces here to support this one, and also to support over here. Green, they got a couple of swordsmen. They'll put them on the board here. They'll put one here as well. Purple has 2 bowmen and 2 samurai swordsmen. Some over here. They do the hire Ronin phase, and green was the only ones that hired Ronin. Ronin are a little bit different than other units in that they only last the 1 turn and then they are removed from the game. And they're deployed secretly. So you choose which province that you own that they're going to go into, and then you put them on the province card. And again, you do it secretly, but just showing it here. There go 2 in Shinano and 2 in Iga. Iga's right here with this army. Shinano is over here with this army. And they're not limited to just adding 1 per province. You can add as many as the total army in there minus 1. And they can't fight for you unless there's already some forces of yours in there. And since he's got an army here with 5 units and a couple more in there, he can definitely put a couple in Iga, and same with Shinano. So these are the provinces they'll fight from then. The last phase before Wage War is hire Ninja. So they bid on Ninja. He bid 2 koku, orange bid 2 koku, purple bid 1, so orange wins. And the winners and losers all return their koku to the master tray. But orange now has the services of the ninja. So orange has the ninja now, and he can either use it to assassinate one of the other daimos, or he can use it to spy. And if you try to assassinate, you can do it any time during this turn. Actually, he is going to try the assassination, but he's going to try that after they do the movement. So he can either try to do an assassination, or he can do a spy. And a spy is to, after the other player allocates their koku, he can look at how they allocated them. But he'll try the assassination in a bit. Now we're into the Wage War phase. And in the Wage War phase, it goes in order of who has the order from the swords. the lowest number of diamonds on the swords goes first, and green won that bidding, so they go first, and then purple, and then orange. And each player that goes does the entire 4 steps before it goes to the next one. So green will move armies, declare first battles, conduct combat, and then final movement for all theirs, and then it'll go to purple and then to orange. So for an example, I'll do green. For movement, you can only move armies through friendly provinces, and you can't move provincial forces. Provincial forces are the forces on the province that aren't in armies. So you can only move the banners. You can only move the banners from the armies. And the distance you can move them is equal or less than the daimo's ability level, and they're all starting at 1. So you can move 1 province. If it were 2, they can move 2, for instance. So they'll move their armies. You can't move into areas that are occupied by other armies. You can only stay in your friendly. But he's planning to attack Haida, so he'll stay here, so that he'll attack adjacent. The forces here, he'll move down to Awa. And because of that, he's adjacent to Awaji. It's adjacent because there's this sea connection here. So that'll be his plan, is to attack them. And then Asano, their army's here. They don't have any other friendly areas to go to, so he'll stay there. Then he'll declare the areas he's attacking. He'll be attacking Awaya here. He'll be attacking Yamato here. And he'll be attacking Haida. So he'll be going against Orange quite a bit. Before he does that, though, Orange has the ninja, and they're going to have the ninja do an assassination attempt. And they'll do that on the Daimo Takagawa, just right here. To do that attempt, then, you roll, and if it's 8 or less, the ninja succeeds in assassinating. He failed, unfortunately. If he had succeeded, then the daimo would be eliminated for this round, and his army would be disrupted and they couldn't attack. But he failed, and since he failed, the intended victim gets revenge. You remove the ninja from play now, and green can try revenge. To this, you roll die. If it's 9 or more, you succeed, and you choose one daimo to assassinate. 11, and he was successful, so he is able to eliminate one of the daimos from Orange, which is a bad turn of events for them. He'll get rid of Kabaya Kawa, because he's right around there. He'll turn the assassinated daimo on the side to indicate he's assassinated, and then you turn the game board marker on its side on the province of his army, the province where his army is, and the daimo can move or attack, defend for the rest of the current round. And his army, which is Kabayokawa army, cannot attack this round, but if they're attacked, they can defend. And then at the end of the turn, then you can, if some units of this survive the round, you may appoint a successor in a succeeding round, and if he had a higher level, it'd be returned back to 1. So anyway, that backfired on them. They got one of their daimos assassinated, even though they're trying to assassinate the other one. And now it's green's turn still, and they're going to do their combat. They'll do the combat then on Awaji, and the forces are the army of Takagawa, which has the daimo, samurai bowman, samurai swordsman, and 2 gunners in the army. And then they also have in the provincial forces here, they have a spearman, and they're going against the provincial forces here of 3 spearmen from Orange. And here's the combat sequence, and it's simultaneous for the different steps. First of all, the bowman roll, and there's no bowman on Orange, only on green, and if they roll a 6 or less, they hit. They have 1 bowman. Misses. The gunners roll. They don't have any gunners, but the army does have 2 gunners. They need a 4 or less. No. 3. So the gunner wipes out one of them. He's not removed yet, but I'll indicate him by putting him on his side. And then you remove casualties. And since that's the range, it went first before him, you will remove the spearman before he's able to go. And now the daimos roll. There's only one daimo, and that's Takagawa. Remove one on a 6 or less. He hits him. He's down. It's not removed yet though. Swordsman and Ronin roll. Snow Ronin. It's actually looking at where his Ronin are. They're in Shinano. They're not here, and they're in Aija. He doesn't have any there. So he has one swordsman. He would hit on a 5 or less. No, he doesn't hit. Spearman. He's got one spearman. He'll roll. Hits on a 4 or less, and he got a 3, so he'll be down as well. But it's simultaneous. The 2 spearmen's casualties haven't been removed yet, so they'll get to attack. And when there's a hit, the receiver damage gets to determine which one is lost. So again, they need a 4 or less. Nope. One more try. 3. So he's gone. Hit. And now we remove casualties from that melee step. It's gone. It's gone. It's gone. There are no casualties in the army here. So that battle is completed. And since Orange no longer has a Y, they take it out from their card deck and they no longer have it. And it's unowned and up for grabs now. It'll be placed in the red box area by the 2 other unclaimed territories. It won't be claimed until someone moves in there. And then final movement. Then in final movement, the attacking forces can move either into a friendly province or an empty one, and this one's empty now. And he'll leave one of his gunners back in this province and move his army to Waya. And now he has that. He'll take that province card. And then green would conduct their other battles. And then purple would go through the war sequence. And orange would go through the war sequence. And after everybody's completed all their war sequence, then you go to the step A, which is you remove your Ronin. Only green had Ronin, but they're removed because they only last one turn. And then everybody collects their koku. And to do that again, you take your number of provinces and divide it by 3 and ignore the remainder. So green, now they gained 1. They're up from 22 to 23, and 23 divided by 3 is still 7 with the remainder, so they'll get 7. Purple still has 22, divided by 3 is still 7. Orange lost 1, so they're down to 21, but still divided by 3 is 7. So each get their 7 koku that they can then use to allocate for their next turn. So it's one turn. Hopefully that gives you a sense of the play. So that's Shogun from Milton Bradley's Game Master series from 1986. It also goes by the name of Samurai Swords. Glad I got it. It's hard to find out there. I think it's, of this type of game, it's definitely one of my favorites now. The components are great. You have interesting strategy and tactics, resource planning. You can get mercenaries, build cities and fortifications. The art is great. It really kind of gets you back in feudal Japan. Big fan. Definitely recommend it if you can find a copy of it. I don't give many 10s, but I'll give this one a 10. Thanks a lot.